The Roman conquest of Britain brought with it infrastructure, administration, and the adoption of Roman customs. But with the Roman Empire in decline, resulting in troops being redirected from Britannia to deal with internal strife, leading to what is known as sub-Roman Britain. But some communication with Rome still continued, and the inhabitants of Britain didn't suddenly stop their Roman traditions. These people are to historians called the Britons, but in reality these people were not a large collective like the modern English, instead made up by different Celtic tribal groups, led by petty kings and warlords ruling over small territories, and they spoke an insular Celtic language known as Common Brittonic. Over on the continent, large crop failures in Central and Northern Europe, and with the Huns pushing the people westward, led to large waves of Germanic tribes migrating around Europe. With the British Isles crops fertile and thriving, and the legends of the mythical land drove some Germanics to migrate to Britain. These people are collectively known as the Anglo-Saxons. In reality, these people were the Jutes, Angles and Saxons. But historians today believe that these people might not have been so ethnically distinct as previously thought, and some historians even believe that this migration in reality was a more organized invasion by these tribes. The Jutes settled in Kent and on the Isle of Wight. The Angles settled on the eastern coast in East Anglia, Northumbria and Mercia. Wessex, Essex and Sussex were settled by the Saxons. But with the power vacuum after Rome's departure of Britannia, the petty kings, weakly able to defend themselves, came under attack from the Picts and Scots. The petty kings of Britain sent word of help to Rome, but the Romans were unable to help them, according to the most reliable source of the time, the priest Gildas. Some centuries later, the superbus tyrannous warlord by the name of Vortigern invited Saxon mercenaries to help him deal with the Picts and the Scots. The mercenaries were led by the brothers Hengist and Horsa, and in exchange for their service, Vortigern supposedly granted them lands in Kent. The mercenaries successfully helped the Britons fend off the invasion from the north, but disagreements over payment between the Saxons and Vortigern led to Hengist and Horsa rebelling against their host. According to legend, Hengist used a banquet as an opportunity to betray and massacre a number of Brittonic chieftains, including Vortigern's son-in-law. In 1455, the Saxons fought against Vortigern at Aylesford, but Horsa was killed. Hengist continued the fight and defeated the Britons at Cray, forcing the Britons to fully abandon Kent. Later more Anglo-Saxons established their holdings in Britain. Ayle came with 3 ships and landed in modern-day Sussex with his 3 sons, killed the local population and established a holding in South Sussex. Fighting between the Anglo-Saxons and the Britons continued, and the Anglo-Saxons would later establish holdings in Wessex. After the battle, the relationship between the Britons and the Anglo-Saxons improved, and 50 years of relative peace followed, with no more Saxon expansion in the south. But in the middle of the 6th century, the Angles would establish a small holding in Deira and Bernissa to the north. The Anglo-Saxons would continue to win over the Celtic Britons, and by the turn of the century, the Anglo-Saxons' control was well established over Britain. This made some Britons migrate to Europe to what would later become Brittany. The Anglo-Saxons brought with them their traditions and their way of living. The Anglo-Saxons were warriors, farmers, and they practiced a religion that shared many similarities to the Norse religion that the Vikings practiced. But the religion of the new inhabitants of Britain was a problem for Pope Gregory I, who sent a missionary by the name of Augustine to convert the local population. Augustine arrived in Britain in the Kingdom of Kent, which was ruled by Aethelbrecht. Aethelbrecht was suspicious of the missionary in the beginning, but eventually gave him permission to preach. Aethelbrecht, being married to a Frankish princess who was a Christian, would also eventually convert to Christianity, and later also becoming a saint for his work of converting the population. Ethelbert's position of Bratvalda, meaning British ruler, meant that all other Anglo-Saxon kingdoms had to answer to him. He used his position to force other rulers to convert to Christianity. In turn, the religion spread fast throughout Britain. After King Oswald had united Deira and Bernissa into the Kingdom of Northumbria, religious issues arose. Oswald was a Brittonic Christian. This led to issues between the Roman Catholics and the Brittonic Christians in Northumbria. The issue would be settled by Oswald in 664 and would lead to Northumbria entrance into the Roman Catholic Church. With Christianity widespread throughout Britain, many monasteries would be built and knowledge from the Roman Catholic Church would spread throughout the island. During the reign of Alfred of Northumbria, Northumbria entered what is called the Northumbrian Renaissance, with large amounts of art, books and wealth being created and held in Northumbrian monasteries. This period was also fueled by conflicts between the Anglo-Saxon states, but that probably deserves a video of its own. With these monasteries lightly defended and located on the coast, they would eventually become easy targets for the first Viking raids at Lindisfarne.